I draw like random kanji all the time, like water, fire, air, earth. Did I say fire? Hey everyone, welcome back to Rupees Over Ramen, the show where we talk about animation, creativity, the creative process, and tons of other nerdy stuff. So it is time. We are on episode 30. Woo! Doing the Q&A. You guys sent in some really awesome questions, so we're just gonna jump right into that. We're just gonna be answering your questions with some answers. So the first question comes from Dallin Canland, and he asks, what's inspired you the most from your journey on YouTube thus far? And one of the things that's inspired me the most is to look back and see where I started and where I am now, but also to look at what content I was doing back then. Like I had a game channel, and then before that I had a video game channel with some friends and the Tsunukito team. And that was really a lot about learning how to talk and how to connect with an audience. Was really cool with that. And then I interviewed someone at Yacht Club Games when I first started this channel. It was Creator Bits Official. And because I wanted to sound cool, but then I'm like, let's just put my name. And I added in Pendragon because I love fantasy and Hal Jenkins Pendragon, like Studio Ghibli. So I think one of the things that's inspired me the most is looking back and seeing how far I've come, and just looking and seeing the kind of content I've done. And a lot of it, like playing Celeste with Dallin, my brother, and playing Hollow Knight and talking about the characters in that, they're still really cool to go back and watch those. And I recently uploaded something I recorded like in 2020 playing Breath of the Wild. And it's just really cool going back and watching that, even though like there's some times where it's just kind of like going really slow. Like sometimes you need that pause, So yeah, that's been really cool being able to see that. Another question from Dallin, question 2, is what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned? He said, it's only the beginning, bro. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Dallin. So one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is you need to start. You need to start somewhere. And sometimes that can sound daunting or like counterintuitive. Like, what about all this planning I need to do? And I did that for so long. I would watch like videos on YouTube. I can't remember even what that guy's name is, but he does a lot of videos about how to make a successful YouTube channel. And how I looking at all those, I realized that I could do that for the rest of my life, really, just watching those videos and never doing anything about it. Because there's so many videos that are like, hey, wait, watch this video before you start that YouTube channel. And there's some really cool things that you can gain from those, but those can hold you back too. A lot of times you just gotta start, and with what you have. Like I'm using the audio from my phone and my computer, and trying out to see how I can make content with what I have, because I wanted like the DSLR, because I watched Peter McKinnon and like Maddie Hapoya, Becky and Chris, Casey Neistat, and like super awesome cameras, MKBHD, and like I'm like, dang, like I could never be there. And it's okay, you start where you're at. And I go back and watch some of my old videos, like from Ice Luigi, and I'm like, oh man, it was rough. And like some of them I have a very high voice, and it's fun though, looking back. It really captures that memory. So with videos, like one of my friends, he's starting like a photography kind of wildlife type channel, and some maybe vlogging, which I want to get more into too. And I think one of the biggest lessons I want to give to him is just starting with what you have and not connecting yourself too much to the results of that work. Like you put in all that you can into it, but once it's out there, it's on the other side of the field. It's out of your hands. And like there was sometimes videos that I would go and change the thumbnail or change the title, and sometimes that would help, but like 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10 or something, like I would regret it, or I would shorten a video and be like, why did I do that? Especially with the YouTube editor, because you're just like, no, it's gone. And you're like, I could re-upload it, but like people have already seen it. And like, there's so many things that you can think about. The other thing is like in using content, like me starting to use my podcast to make YouTube videos, even though my podcasts were already out there, not many people saw the podcast. And the YouTube channel and adding in those like parts of the animation from trailers really helped to have a larger audience see that. So the people who see one of your videos may not see like your next video. So like just put out what makes you happy. And consistency also is key. Like having the consistency of putting something out regularly. And I would always be like, what day is gonna work? What day is gonna work? But I just decided I did the Super Mario movie, like reacting to that. And then I just decided after that to just do every week and figure out what days. And I figure out Wednesdays, Fridays and Saturdays, and sometimes Monday is a really good day for me to upload. Tuesdays and Thursdays don't really work. And it really just helped me to try that out. And it's interesting how they've been adding podcasts too. I might be uploading some of those. There'll be a lot of tangents in this Q&A. And as you know, that's kind of how the channel goes. And I'm hoping that this will be a longer episode as well. But yeah, the awesome questions from Dallin. And yeah, that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned is just do it. Like, just start with what you have, even if it's just the phone. Or just audio, like take audio and take stock footage or like images that you did. Like, I don't know, like there's amazing things that people have done just starting. And a lot of times you'll go back, Becky and Chris talk about this, and you go back and look where someone started and it's like, wow, look how far they've come. And you can't just kind of jump ahead. You can try, like I realized that with some tools, like with video editing tools, is I tried jumping ahead and it was just so much. And then going back and using like Windows Movie Maker and like movie editor or video editor or whatever on Windows now. And then being like, I'm missing this tool. I need this tool. And then I'd upgrade to something with that tool and figure it out and really have fun with that process, you know? So yeah. So the next question is from my friend Kyle Sills, and I've done some videos with him about Gravity Falls and Over the Garden Wall, and those are super fun. I really enjoyed making those with him. And his question is, how do you stay motivated to finish a project? So this might be like working on that comic that you've always wanted to make, making it awesome, or working on that book that you've always been wanting to write, writing to write, and working on like a webtoon, or working on a poetry book, or a YouTube video, or an animation project, or a game like I've done some indie game development and working on that. So how do you stay motivated to finish a project? One of the things that has helped me to stay motivated, and something that my friend Buster, he's a super awesome, he was a fan of like Tanuki Toad Team and would watch on our streams. And one of the things they said about making indie games is make a game, even if it's really small, make that little project, have a start, a middle, and a beginning, and then it's done. And then you're just kind of adding stuff to it. So seeing projects in that way that simplify that idea of the project that you want to do down as much as you can, and then create that simplified idea of that project. And then you have that done. And then you can add on layers and things, but it's finished. It's a finished project. And it goes to like what Jake Parker, I've said this so many times on my videos, but like finished, not perfect. And it's just finish it. And finishing something, you learn a lot through that process. Like making the Grateful Ghost comic, which is now on Webtoon, which is super cool. Technology is amazing. You can just like read it on your smartphone. And I think that's really amazing. And I learned a lot through the process of thumbnailing and writing a script and figuring out character design. And some of it doesn't look as good as I want it to, but it's finished and it's out there and people can read it and experience it. And it caused me to write the next episodes just in script form. Sometimes I'm like, I should just release that, because making a comic can be really hard. But I learned a lot through that process, and things I enjoyed, things I didn't enjoy, and things I didn't realize would be in that process. Like putting in the text and then also printing and making sure that the bleed was okay, because I went and printed it out at a print shop and it wasn't printed right and it just didn't work out. And it was just kind of like, dang. And it was really sad because I paid for it and they gave me a new print and they just threw away that other one. It was really sad to see that. But it's just kind of, things were off a little bit. Things were a little larger than they needed to be, and some words got cut off. So like there's things that are in a project that you might not be aware of, and if you're finishing even that simplified version of the project, you're able to realize what those things are, and you can be like, okay, so this is something I need to be aware of next time I do this. Like that's why creating like game jams and indie games, creating that small game can be so good at teaching you about that process, so you can create a larger game. Like I think even people that created well, I know Hollow Knight used to be Hungry Night. It was created from a game jam, the idea, the character and stuff. And like not many people start with that, like that giant project without doing anything before. They always have that, even if you don't see it, even if it's in the background, they always have that stuff that they've started out with. So I would say another thing that I do to stay motivated to finish a project is to make it fun. If I'm not having fun with the project that I'm doing, I'll like just kind of stop for a bit and go on a walk or go outside or whatever, and just be like, why am I not having fun with this? And sometimes stepping away can be really good. And a lot of times you're not having fun because you're putting too much stress on it being perfect and it being amazing. But there's still gonna be, like, I made a video about how there's still gonna be days where you're like, I can't accomplish anything, like nothing's working out. And how do you stay motivated in those times? And I think just having those outlets, like you're making your passion something that you're creating content from or making money from, it can change how you look at that. So it's very important to have different outlets, whether that be like music, even though I still need the cord for this, but like music, cooking, hobbies, which we'll be talking about later, like singing, going out, hiking, something that's using your brain a different way. I like going on Blender and just messing around in there, doing like just editing a video, because it's less of like a creative hands-on thing. It's more like analytical and cutting things down. It's like that editing side of your brain, like the open mode versus the closed mode. And also making like goals, making them smart, making them specific, measurable, attainable, I think results and maybe time. And like measurable is super important. Like with starting to do more walking, I realized just being able to see that go up. I'm trying to do 100 miles of walking and maybe some of them running. Seeing that number just go up, gamifying that process has been really cool. Or like with working on the Twitter, seeing the changes in how many posts I'm making. Social media is interesting though. I wouldn't spend too much time on social media because that can take away time that you could be using to finish a project. But yeah, a lot of times finishing the project is just simplifying down that idea and finishing that idea and just getting it out there. Another thing I do to stay motivated is just start each session that I do with a prayer and just kind of have an idea of what I want to get done, like what I want to accomplish in that session. So yeah. So this next question comes from Buster, and he asks, what creators do you follow specifically to study their process? So like artists, creators. Some of these are like super like master quality. Like Hayao Miyazaki is someone I love looking at his storyboards, like the watercolor and hand drawn. In a lot of his stories, he just does like starting with visual, like not even writing out a script, just starting out with a visual story. And I think that's so cool how he does that. And looking at his process has been really cool. And like there's this video, is it like of Dreams and Madness or something? But there's a video on YouTube about Hayao Miyazaki. I'll try to link it below in the show notes. But he like, they're working and you see their studio. It's not like a super like Google style, like amazing quality studio, I guess, but it works. And it's another thing, like tools are helpful, but you have to use the tool. Like you have to figure out how to use it and learn that tool, no matter what the tool is. And Hayao Miyazaki, everyone's tired and stuff, and he makes this giant pot of ramen, just like dropping in the like ramen like squares, just like dropping them in, or circles, and just make this giant pot of ramen for everyone there, and just like bolstering up their spirits. And I want to get into producing and like being over a team, and it's very important to be a leader that bolsters the spirits of those around them and helps improve the attitude of everyone around them. That's like so important. So like Hayao Miyazaki and his works, so good. I want to get like one of his like mangas, like the Nausicaa one that he did. But yeah, it's really cool. And like he's not perfect. Like none of these people are perfect, but you can learn a lot from their successes and their failures, like the things that they fell short on. Some other creators that I follow specifically, maybe not specifically, but a little bit to study their process, is Becky and Chris. They're vloggers, and they have a helicopter, and they do like home renovation and stuff about cameras and stuff like that. And they've been a huge inspiration to me in wanting to get more into vlogging and documenting like that process and my life. And yeah, just doing more with having fun and being myself, and seeing how they set up shots has been really cool, or edit videos, edit audio, edit like coloring, like doing color grading. That's still something that I struggle with, and it's been really cool to learn from their process and to see that and see someone that's done it and be like, oh, interesting, that's really cool that they did it that way. And you know, with these, like I can go on and on, like, yeah. Stay hydrated. Drink that H2O. This is vitamin water, so it's kind of H2O. So another person that I follow, some of these aren't specifically, but definitely I love to study their process, is ABD Illustrates. And he's a YouTuber who's done some like kind of like animated projects, which has been really cool. High Hopes, Low Rolls, which was like D&D. It was based on a campaign that he did with his friends, and then they animated it and did voice acting and stuff for it and stuff. And he does a lot of like concept corners, talking about stories and doing speed paints. And yeah, he's a super cool inspiration to me. He's done like some stickers and stuff, things that I want to do and go into more. Drawing a lot of characters. I realize that I love characters and drawing characters. Like that's the thing that I like to draw, like a person and like someone that you can have a connection to. It's cool to draw like a background or something, and some people do it super well. It's not my strength, and that's okay. And characters, I'm still working on it too, but it's really cool being able to create that character, and I've created some like original characters, and that's been really cool. And yeah, so ABD Illustrates has been really cool to see his process, and like even, I know, just like to look at like maybe the way that he does concept art or draws or uses a brush, or what program he's using, because I'm still trying to find a digital program. I would love to use Adobe Fresco since it's free, but I don't have an iPad. I wish it was on Windows. That'd be really cool. But yeah, he's been a huge inspiration looking at what he does and stuff, and with yeah, it's been really cool. Another person that I have followed to study their process a little bit is Andy J. Pizza, and he has a podcast. He's an illustrator. He's done some really cool mural type work. He talks about how he did this work. It was a wall, and they had these giant markers, and you could just draw. It was really cool. So he's been a really awesome inspiration, and just like, there's a lot of days I'm like, just him being there and seeing that it's possible, like what he's done. He has built a YouTube channel, Creative Pep Talk, and he has the podcast called Creative Pep Talk. Has a YouTube channel where he has parts of the podcast. Something that I've done, he's done also just kind of some standalone videos if you're feeling overwhelmed. He had a Creative Pep Talk with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which he was in Batman, and he was kind of like Robin-ish. But also he voiced Jim Hawkins from Treasure Planet. That's one of my favorite movies, so that was really cool being able to listen to that. He talked about creative burnout, creativity, being like neurodivergent and dealing with ADHD as an artist, and being able to create the world that you want to create in and live in. And yeah, it's been just really cool to see. It's really crazy how I came across him, because I was going to college, and he came, it was during COVID, so I wish he would have come in person. That would be really cool, because I could have met him. But he came over Zoom, and we just had kind of like a Zoom call with him and like an art seminar, and he talked with us and showed us some of the works that he did. And he had like his logo like on the Zoom call, and I was just like, it was just like, I love those like little like design things. I love aesthetics and like little small things that just look so good. And like, I was like, dang, I am inspired. Like, this guy's super cool. Cause I was like, maybe I shouldn't have studied illustration, because we were looking at like old illustrators and things that they've done, and like, it's really cool and stuff, but I really love things that are like imaginative and fantastical, and Andy J. Peach just really captures that. And looking at his website and wanting to creating my own website, that's been really inspirational. And yeah, he's just been a huge inspiration. And like, I could go on and on, really. I love like Corridor Crew. I'll just throw out some names like Corridor Crew, Tonico Pantoya. I hope I don't like butcher these names. The Dows, he's the guy who does like Blender and like Grease Pencil and all those animations and stuff. Jake Parker, of course, has been a huge inspiration and someone that I look at and looking at his work. There's one, I'm trying to remember what their name is. But yeah, there's a lot of really awesome art YouTubers that I've been following that have been really cool to learn from and to see their process in creating. Ian Hubert, he does like those lazy Blender tutorials where he's just kind of like, just put this here and this here and this here. But you can learn a lot from those. Curiomatic, they used to do, it used to be Artsy Omni, he made like the Smashified and stuff. Yeah, so there's been, Blue Biscuits, yeah, that's one. They're an artist, they do a lot of cool stuff about talking about doing commissions, anatomy, lighting, perspective. It's just been really cool to see their process in that. And then I've been trying to follow more like storyboard artists to learn more about storyboarding, but there's at least what I found, there's kind of few and far between. There's not a lot of storyboard artists, YouTubers out there that are like consistently creating content. You can go and see like some storyboards, and it's been cool to see those, but yeah. Another person that I followed that's inspired me a lot is Rebecca Sugar. She created Steven Universe, and she's been really cool inspiration to look out how she draws in her sketchbook and how she uses it. Because I've been trying to find out new ways to use my sketchbook and like have fun with it. And she does that super well, which has been really cool. It's been really cool to be able to look at artists that have already worked on like shows and created their shows, like showrunners and stuff. Like, yeah, it's just been really cool to look at. One of them that I've actually kind of start to look at a little bit more, because I found a Tumblr on it, is Adventure Time and how they do storyboarding. I haven't seen a ton of Adventure Time, but a lot of these storyboards are by like Steve Wolfhard and some by Hannah Nystrom. And they're just so cool, like really cool to look at, really awesome. Like Bimo is one of my favorite characters. And a lot of these are from distant lands. It's just really cool to see how they come up with ideas and how they create ideas, especially Hannah, how they create ideas. It's been really cool to look at that and see that. And yeah, there's just a lot of creators like that that have been super inspiring, and to see their process. Because looking at someone's process, you're able to maybe learn something that like, whoa, I didn't even know that you could do that. Like, I was watching a thing about Blender and how you can change a 3D model and simulate it as kind of just like blocks and then do it with Lego, and it's just like, whoa. And some of it's like easier than you thought it would be, which I think is really cool. I actually have a list of like animated showrunners and people that have worked on shows that I just like looking at their stuff. Like Rebecca Rose, she worked on the Owl House, and Dana Terrace, of course, she created the Owl House. Matt Braley created Amphibia. Mike Katsu was a storyboard artist on The Owl House, and Steven Sugar is the brother, I think he's the brother of Rebecca Sugar. But he's worked on The Owl House and different things like that as well. And like Patrick McHale, he created Over the Garden Wall. Lamar Abrams worked on Craig of the Creek. Alex Hirsch created Gravity Falls. Aaron Ehas created The Dragon Prince, also worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, and then like the people that worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender. And yeah, so there's just a lot of awesome places. I find with studying a process, you should study the process of people that are at your level and also study the process of people that are doing like what you want to do. Like if you want to get into being an author, watch things by like Brandon Sanderson, unless you don't want to get into fantasy, but I think Brandon Sanderson's videos about story and writing can be really good for anyone. But watching those videos and learning from them, if you want to get into animation, looking at the works of all those people that I mentioned before. If you want to get into like comics or illustration, like look at Jake Parker, look at like Jeff Smith, I think he created Bone. And yeah, just look at the people that are in the industry and see the kind of work that they're creating in their portfolio. Or if you want to get into like game design, look at the works that, see how they got there, like see their process and their progress and how they were able to make it to the level that they are at. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff to go on for that question. But yeah, moving on to the next question. This is from Buster. Have you met or gotten to know any experienced creators? So this is kind of what we were talking about. And yes, a little bit. Jake Parker is one that came and spoke at my university, and I was able to talk to him and meet him and connect with him a little bit, and that was really cool because he was a huge inspiration to me with his YouTube channel. He did some little vlogs and stuff, which was really cool, and he's done some really cool stuff with comics, and we just have a lot of the same values. He's been a huge inspiration to me. Gotten to know and met, I don't like, it's interesting because like Andy J Pizza kind of met over Zoom, but it wasn't like a one-on-one thing, so I've kind of met him a little bit. And then there's been a lot of people that I've just reached out over email to them because that can be super helpful, and just reaching out to people and like talking to them and seeing, like learning about their process. And like, it's interesting. A lot of people that you might not think would respond to you are gonna maybe respond to you, and like you might be able to learn a lot from them in that process, which I think is really cool. Let's see if I can find any of them. I need to look back over these because a lot of them have given me some really cool guidance and direction on things. One of them that I've talked to is Anthony Holden, and he worked on like Into the Spider-Verse. He's a storyboard artist. He does like a comic Little Precious Rascals, I think. And he's been a huge inspiration to me. I've been able to learn a lot from him, and just how he does storyboarding and the flowiness of it and stuff has been really cool. And I've just talked with him a bit. A lot of creators I haven't met in person because you kind of have to go to that place to meet them. But yeah, I've gotten to know, I've met kind of from afar some creators. Maddie Hapoya did like a secret live thing, and I was able to be a part of that and sent in like a question and stuff to him that they answered, which is cool. And yeah, but it's really cool to be able to connect with people in the industry, but also just connect with your peers. It's like something I don't think people put enough focus on, because the people that are studying like storyboarding or animation or like whatever you're studying or going into, especially in animation, where they're at, where you are now, those are going to be the people that you're going to be working with, and they might be over you later. Even if maybe you feel like you're further along than they are, they might be a superior to you. And it's important to be kind and to build those relationships with those people. And yeah, Matt Davis, he works at Sony Animation. I've talked with him a bit, and it's just been really cool to talk to those people and realize that these are real people. Sometimes we put them on like this pedestal, and like they are super talented and amazing, but they have to figure things out. They have to work things out too. And I've been able to learn so much from them and their process and how they create things, and just see that they're real people that deal with real things. They have families, and like they have struggles and like birthdays, and like it's a real person. And it's important that you understand that and you remember that. David D'Angelo, he worked on Shovel Knight. He was the one that I talked to. He was really cool to be able to talk to. And yeah, it's just been really cool to talk to those people and to learn from them and their examples. And I think the most important thing with this question is, if you've met or gotten to know any experienced creators, is you're not just getting to know that person because they're going to be like an asset to you, and then you're like, oh, you've served me well, and then you just kind of cut off ties. It's like create real relationships and connections with these people, and it's hard. Like, I'm still working on figuring that out too. But being able to connect with those people, because you're going to be working with those people if you get into the industry, or when you get into the industry, you'll be working with those people. And these people that you've been looking up to, they're going to be like your peers and your coworkers. So like grow those relationships and just be kind, like be a kind person. Like in Cinderella, they talk about have courage and be kind. I really love that quote, because a lot of times it can be easy to just kind of do what everyone else is doing, but having courage to be unique and to be yourself and to be kind when everyone else isn't, like there's strength in that. So that's really important. I'm excited though to meet more creators and to be able to learn a lot from them, especially like people that I know, some artists like that I went to college with that have started to go to like Comic-Cons and stuff too. So that's been cool. But yeah, so that's that question. So the next question is, what is next for you after school? So I am finishing up my schooling, getting my Bachelor's of Arts in Illustration. And after that, it's gonna be applying for jobs in the industry, and then working on different projects that I've been working on for a while, like Uptown Warriors. It's a story about a group of friends that a lot of my stories about a group of friends, you know, like I love friendships and brotherhoods, but it's this group of longtime friends that go to this fantasy world, and there's an apprentice magi, and he is transported to our world, and he has to come to terms and figure out who he is, because he's kind of had this rough growing up, lost his parents at a young age, and he has to kind of figure out who he is. And just working on those stories, I want to do stuff with like webtoon and comics, but also like animatic stuff like that Sadist has done, and KNNP, and like ABD Illustrates, and High Hopes Low Rolls, like those types of things. I would really love to do stuff like that on YouTube, to really have my YouTube channel be just kind of like this amalgamation of things. Like niches are cool, and I have kind of my niche in animation and film and stuff, but I would love to do more with animatics and vlogs, and like after school getting a job in the industry, and then just kind of doing the animation and stuff on my own on the side. I would love to be a showrunner for animation and like make one of these stories. I've written like scripts and stuff and character outlines, and I need to go and write like a pitch deck, you know, like the pitch Bibles that they do for shows and stuff, like figure out how to do that. But yeah, just kind of continuing what I'm doing, and maybe doing some traveling. I would love to go to Japan. I kind of have like a goal to do that once the YouTube channel is bigger, and being able to support myself with that a little bit, and doing more with collaborating with different creators. It can be really easy when you don't have the degree, even if you're like, I'm like 1 credit away. Even when you're just 1 credit away, it's like the difference between like not having it and having it. You can feel like there's a lot of imposter syndrome, and maybe people that I would be willing to reach out to if I had the degree. It can be hard to right now, even though like saying it, like I'm like, I could just do that, but it can be hard to do that. So like getting after school, like reaching out to those people and being able to interview more creators on the channel, I think would be super fun and super cool. And like I've set like a lot of goals for the channel and like YouTube and growing it and just being able to grow as a creator and as an individual. I want to get into maybe making like animatics and possibly doing live streaming. A lot of these I just kind of throw out there, things I might want to do, and like interviewing showrunners like Alex Hirsch would be really cool. I've learned a lot from him. And it's crazy because a lot of these people, before I knew about the show, I didn't know about the creator of the show. Like I didn't know anything about them. And once I learned about them, like, dang, I connect with this person on a deep level. Yeah, it's just like really cool to see that. And yeah, start vlogging more, I think would be really cool. I really love the vlogs that like Becky and Chris and Peter McKinnon have done, and it would just be really cool to do that, especially vlogging, like going to Japan, documenting that experience. I think that would be super cool. And yeah, there's a lot of things I want to work on. Like I designed a hoodie and I showed that in one of my videos, but I want to do more with that in like fashion and stuff, writing, learning Blender, creating prints, creating an indie game would be really cool. I have some really cool ideas for that, making like a multiplayer, just couch game, like sitting on the couch playing the game with your friends. There's been like so many like multiplayer games recently where it's like you have to have internet and you have to connect with people from that are far away, and that's so cool to be able to connect with people from far away. But I just really love that local like LAN parties, like being in the same room and playing those games with someone. Even if you're playing like a one-player game, just having someone near you for that. So making an indie game like that, and of course starting from that simplified project with that. But yeah, and then doing more with Webtoon and just figuring out how to tell these stories that I want to tell, figuring out the best way to do that. I think animatics would be really cool, doing something like that. But yeah, I digress. So the next question, which kind of connects to like talking about indie games, is are you still learning game design? This comes from Buster, and a little bit. There was one day where like I went down like that rabbit hole and I just studied like game design like crazy, and then I was like, dang, I gotta go to sleep. And it's just like, it was really cool though to look at that, but it can be so easy to look at all the different game engines and be like, which one of these should I use? Because I've done some stuff in Unity. I've done some game design just with like code, with like Python and stuff, because I did Boy Scouts and I did like a programming merit badge and got that. So I did some programming. So I know a little bit about that. I've done robotics, and I've done some programming for that, a lot of visual programming for that. But also like, I think some like C# or C++. I need to look at the languages. Like I am not a programmer by any means. But I started with game design really probably with Game Maker, but back then it was way stripped down. All the assets basically, I don't know if maybe you could import, but I really don't remember importing assets. Either I didn't have them or whatever, but you would use like the built-in assets and create games with that, and it was very like stripped down. And now like Heart Machine and I think it's Alex Preston or something like that. He made Hyper Light Drifter on Game Maker, which is like, what the heck? And I'm like, what is Game Maker now? Because I haven't looked at it in such a long time. And then after that, I did the Blender game engine, and I really love that. And I really love Blender because it's free and it's open source and has such an awesome team behind it. And I didn't realize this, but they've been doing some animation projects. And one of the reasons at least why they do that is because they want to develop those tools. They want to see those tools grow. And they're gonna push the tools limits by creating these animated projects and be like, hey, what does Blender need? And I think that's such a cool way of creating animation machine program open source thing, like being able to create your own projects and see what you need with them, like I talked about before. Because like just having what do you need to get started. And a lot of times you already have what you need to get started, especially with game design. It's much more accessible now. But I did a lot of 3D stuff with game design. I made like a platformer and added in like sound effects when like someone jumped, like when you pressed a key. And I have like tons of these like game controllers that I think would be really cool to be able to do stuff with. But yeah, so I am still learning game design a little bit, watching videos like by Thomas Brush, but I'm trying to figure out what game engine that I want to use, because like I used Unity for a little bit, and I didn't love Unity. I really loved Game Maker. I was a little kid when I made that in Blender. It's really sad that they got rid of the game engine. There's days where I'm like, if they still had that game engine, I would be making games like no one's business, because I love Blender and I want to spend more time in it. And but yeah, I would say like maybe Game Maker or like Unreal Engine I want to try out. But yeah, it's like I'm still learning it a little bit, and I want to make an indie game. But it would be really cool to have a team. I would love to have a team of people that I'm working with, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to make any money from that. So it's like having people that are willing to come on and help, even if it doesn't make anything, just to be a part of that process. Like with Buster, he's done some stuff with indie game development. He talked about like that, creating that small simplified game and having the beginning, creating that game loop, and then just having that done can be so bolstering and helping you to like enjoy the process more. And yeah, because it's kind of something I want to do like on the side, but I have an idea for like a platformer that's based on the like Tanuki hero story that I was writing about, fighting against like demons and shadows of another realm and finding different items and nostalgic things and cool music and stuff. And my brother Dallin wants to get into like video game music and stuff, so I think that'd be really cool. But right now it's kind of like on the back burner a little bit, so I'm still learning. I haven't done a lot of creating from the learning, but acting upon the things that you learn is super important. Like that's another thing I've learned, is you can watch videos and learn. I've learned so much about YouTube and animation and video game development even, but applying those things it's gonna make all of the difference in what you're able to accomplish with that. So the next question is, what are your hobbies and how do they influence your work? And this one's a funny one, because I actually had to look up like, what is the definition of a hobby? Because every time someone asks me this, I think about like scrapbooking and I don't know, like horseback riding, like things that I don't do. And I'm like, I don't know if I really have hobbies. Especially when I was in college, I was like, I don't really have time for hobbies. Though I did have time to watch animation with my friends, make time for the things that are important. So, but yeah, I looked it up and then I was looking at some and I'm like, hey, I do this. That's cool. So one of the hobbies that I've been trying to get more into is photography. And I started photography with this little like blue camera. It's like a Sony something, I don't even know. Like it was like, you guys might not have seen them before. Like autofocus, auto everything. Like you can't change the lens, of course. It's just this little tiny digital camera, just kind of snap and shoot. And then I did some like camera stuff on this iPhone 6S, and now I have a nicer iPhone and I've just been doing photography with that. But I had the opportunity of shooting graduation photos for my cousins and my sister, which was really cool. I realized I really do like photography. And before that, I had time to shoot with my friend's Nikon when we were out just like watching birds and stuff. And that really prepared me a lot for it. But it's kind of funny because my aunt was like, James, you're like art major, like you can shoot the photos, like you can do that, right? And I'm like, yeah. It was my first time holding like or second time holding a DSLR, because I held like the Nikon. But before that, like it was that little tiny Sony Vaio and like this phone and maybe some other little tiny like digital cameras, but nothing that like that. But yeah, it was like a Canon, and that was really cool to do. That was really cool to do. But yeah, photography is one of those, and I want to get some type of camera. it's so easy to just like jump between different options and be like, which one of these is gonna work best for me? But it's very important to just choose one and sort of just roll with it and start where you're at. Like, I've realized there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do even just with an iPhone with photography. But I do want to get that camera because I want to spend less time on my phone and like have more time with like the analog things. Like when I was a little kid, I grew up with like cassette tapes and like the Sony Walkman. I had one of those and I made like a little mixtape. My dad had a cool cassette tape player. They could put cassette tapes in and like put them onto another tape. So I just like put a lot of songs. A lot of them were like love songs and stuff, like old love songs, which is kind of funny. I'm like, huh, interesting. My taste in music was very interesting. But I really love that like analog tactile feel of things. So I really want to do that more with getting some type of camera. Even like film camera would be very interesting to do for the first camera, of course. But even if it's just like an old like DSLR or SLR camera, I think it would be really cool to just kind of start in creating things. And Peter McKinnon made a video about film cameras, and I think the roll has like 32 photos. Like that'd be an interesting challenge to just shoot 32 photos a day or a week or something and just tell a story with those 32 photos and learn through that process. And I've watched so many videos on photography from Peter McKinnon, Becky and Chris and Maddie Poya, and like I feel like I know so much, but I haven't applied the knowledge that I know. Applying knowledge is very important. It's like the difference between knowledge and wisdom. I feel like wisdom is more like applied, like you've been through this, you've experienced something, and you can impart wisdom now because of what you've learned. Another hobby that I have is cooking, especially on like the stovetop, like Asian cuisine. I'm lactose intolerant, so I've done a lot of like stir fries, curries, dumplings. I want to learn how to do sushi. I think that'd be really cool. Get one of those like bamboo mats. That would be super cool. But yeah, I really love cooking. It's like it's culinary arts. Growing up, I loved doing art stuff, and we had set up a table and sold, it wasn't cooking, but we sold like microwave burritos, me and my friend, and he's in the webtoon, in that he's Fox, and that was just really cool. And I was like, we could have a restaurant, like I was a little kid. And my granddad, he worked at like a restaurant for a bit, and he's super good at cooking. And my grandma, like all of the people I was around were super good at cooking. And one of my roommates, Kyle, he served his mission in like Asian, like Philippines type area, and seeing how he cooked was very interesting. I really love seeing, I got a walk from one of my other roommates and Scott, and that walk has been really cool. So thank you, Scott, for that. It was funny, the first time I made it I made Italian food. I'm sorry. I made like pasta, but now I've made like some like a lo mein and like stir fries and stuff like that. It's just so cool. You can just like fire and stuff. Yeah, I tried working at Panda Express, but sadly it didn't work out. But I digress. So yeah, that's one of my other hobbies, writing, especially writing fiction. I've done some poetry. I've wanted to do more like songwriting. Singer-songwriter just sounds cool. And the process of that, Tyler Ward did this video about making a song that just was like, just blew my mind, because it was just kind of like uncut, raw, and for the most part, and like it was just really cool to see that. And yeah, Caleb Hyles has been a huge inspiration to me, Jonathan Young. They do a lot, they're like cover artists. I think it'd be cool to do some covers and stuff like that. I've done some covers on like Instagram when I made like a singing Instagram channel. But yeah, well, that goes into singing. That's one of my other hobbies. And I was kind of, I would say, classically trained. I did choir in 3 years of high school, and all the years that I was in college did men's choir. And I did a chamber choir in high school and got to sing at like Disney World, got to sing in really cool like cathedral type spaces, which was super cool. For men's choir, got to sing in the conference center, which is this huge place in Salt Lake City, and that was really cool. And then later, I don't know how, but I became part of a choir that sang with the piano guys, or one of the piano guys, Stephen Sharp Nelson, on his cello, and the cello guy. and got to do some singing in the Tabernacle in Salt Lake City, which was super cool. It's a super awesome space. It's really cool being in like those spaces, like cathedral type spaces or spaces that are designed acoustically for singing. And I really love like the Broadway type of singing, like musical theater, which kind of goes into one of my other hobbies, which is acting. And making this list was actually really good. So thank you, Buster, because I realized these are like specific things that I could work on, like when I want an outlet. And with acting, voice acting, and I made like a voice acting reel type thing, but just starting somewhere with that, you know? But with acting, I did musical theater in high school. I had a really awesome like lineup of people to work with and lineup of shows to work on. Like Wizard of Oz was the first show that I worked on, and I was like an Ozian. One time I got the girls' makeup done. I don't know how, but I had like green eyeshadow, green lipstick, and green blush. I definitely stood out on stage. And working on The Sound of Music and then Cinderella, and that was really cool. That was really awesome. Just like the costuming and practicing. And Cinderella was, I think that was on Cinderella. It was funny because I came on stage at the wrong time, and the director came to me afterwards, and he was just like, you know, you came up like, what, like, why did you do that? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I thought I was supposed to be on. Like, he's like, no, like, it's fine. Just like, remember to show up on time. And I wasn't in that scene before, but he put me into that scene because I guess I did it well. And I got to do some ballroom dancing with that too, so that was really cool. And then I wanted to try out acting again, so I took an acting class in college, just acting one, and learned a lot of stuff about acting, like reading from a book about acting that I hadn't realized, about creating a character and a story, a backstory for that character, to create these characters that have depth. And then I auditioned for a sketch comedy group, but then I also auditioned for improv group at the same time. And their schedules were as such that you could be in both, but I made it into the improv group and not the sketch comedy group. And the improv was kind of like the backup because I've never done improv comedy, like getting up there and having the audience tell you something and then just kind of improving off of that. And like I've did an article on my Medium about how they do this in animation and did a video about it as well. But it's like very hard to improv. But that was such a cool experience because I was able to be with this team of people, a crew. We were called Unscripted, and it was just really cool. Got to have our own like nicknames. Mine was the Magi. And yeah, it was cool because we watched The Mummy, I think, later. And there's a Magi and they're like, oh, look, it's James. And now I feel like I am like obligated to get a camel of some sort or put that into like a story or something. Like camels are cool. But yeah, acting has been really cool. And it was really cool with that because you got to get in front of an audience, and a lot of times what you did made them laugh, and you realize how to work with an audience, and kind of like Andy J. Peets talks about and writers talk about is writing on stage. And that's very important with improv comedy because you're writing on stage, you're coming up with it as you go, basically. And that was really cool. And it just really showed me, looking at like storyboarding and animation and stuff, it's very similar to acting and to theater. And having this team of people, you're working on this project and you get to the end, you have kind of like that like heck week at the end. It's like super tough work, getting everything done on time. And then having that after party and like celebrating and parting ways after that. And I think it's like that continuation of that joy that I had working in those groups with theater. And I think that'd be really cool to do that with animation as well. So yeah. And then this is kind of a hobby. It says online that it's a hobby. So, you know, like Google. So yeah, you hear my dogs barking in the background. Sorry about that. Camping has been a huge hobby. I did Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts growing up, so I did a lot of camping, learned how to like make a fire and lean-tos and all that type of stuff. And I just really love being out outdoors and having that experience to wake up to the sound of birds in the trees. And then I had some roommates that I've talked about in some of the videos with Kyle about Gravity Falls and stuff, and we did some camping, going out to the dunes, going on hikes, and I realized how much I love like trees and camping, like falling asleep under the stars. And like camping in a hammock is really cool, especially when it's like not raining. That's really nice when it's not raining. But yeah, it's just been really cool to camp, and it's been a really cool hobby. And oh yeah, how do these influence your work? So camping, I think, influences my work in giving me a new perspective on things, and I love creating things that connect to camping. And like campfires is something that you'll see a lot in my illustration work and comics, like in The Grateful Ghost. And yeah, just like iconography and the things that I use. It also, I feel like, gives me a lot of inspiration, and going and camping in different locations gives me inspiration for story ideas. And I feel like there's something very vulnerable about people camping together, and you kind of have to survive with those people. And especially that time, like right after the sun, it's starting to get late and the sun has gone down, and you're just sitting around the fire staring at it, kind of mesmerized, and just kind of have these deep conversations with people. And I think having that deep conversation in my work has been a huge influence from camping. With singing, creating work that a lot of the characters, the things I write, have that background. With singing and acting, have that background in the arts, and singing and acting has also helped me in wanting to do more with animatics and voice acting and stuff like that. Writing has influenced my work because I write a lot of those stories, and having one illustration is one thing and having that concept, but then being able to write a story within that illustration that comes off of that, I think is super cool. With cooking, a lot of these are just like character things. Like it influenced the ways my characters, they like cooking and I like cooking. Like Studio Ghibli, I think, does cooking and food really well. I was reading about it, and it's like how they set apart the time to eat, to have a meal. You're not like eating on the go. You're like sitting down and having that moment. And I think that's influenced my work in giving me inspiration in tossing different ingredients in, and just metaphor and thinking about things in that way. And photography, composition and lighting, and photography kind of going into cinematography, figuring out how to frame a shot and different pans and zooms and stuff. And yeah, definitely like, as I like things that look cinematic kind of, but I also like things that are run and gun kind of filmmaking, and having that kind of rough look to it I think is cool too. Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the one that's coming out, they have that kind of like run and gun, like I said, comic in the back of the gas station, like hidden behind like the can of Mountain Dew or something, or like slid under the drink machine, like in an alley. Like that's the feeling that they're capturing, and I think that's really cool to have those imperfections and the scratches and stuff. Like I've looked in animation, especially in Pixar, they have teams of people that do that scratch and stuff to age things and to make things look rough and lived in. And I think that's influenced my work to make it look rough and lived in. And like with the Tanuki Hero story, it's kind of like sci-fi, but it's more like diesel punk in that it's very rough and lived in, kind of like old school, like Star Wars. Everything is ripped, and I think that gives everything a story, and I think that's really cool. Because everything like prim and proper and super beautiful colors can be cool, but it can be very like emotionless, and I think, yeah, you can lose a lot of depth if you lean on that too much. So the next question from Buster is, do you speak or understand any Japanese? So this is an interesting question. I spent a long time studying Japanese, listening to like Learn Japanese Pod and doing like Duolingo and different apps like that, learning like hiragana and katakana. And I spent actually a lot of time, I would not recommend doing this, but spend a lot of time studying like the Romaji, because a lot of apps had that built in, and I should have just turned that off because it made it a little bit more difficult. And I understand the Romaji, but that's like English characters, and I'm still working on understanding like the Japanese characters. I know like itadakimasu, and like there's a lot of words that are pretty much very similar to like the like English words and stuff. Ohayo gozaimasu. Yeah, like orangey and pineapple. But yeah, still working on like the dialect, like the accent, and I draw like random kanji all the time, like water, fire, air, earth. Did I say fire? But yeah, long ago. So yeah, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. But yeah, so it was interesting. I spent this one day studying Japanese for like an hour or something, Korean for an hour, Mandarin for an hour, and then like Cantonese for an hour. And it was very interesting to learn how like Mandarin, there's a lot of tones and stuff, and how they relate and how there's similarities between them. I would love to understand some Japanese so I can like communicate with people in Japan better and connect with them better. But it's kind of the first language learning, at least spoken language. I know a little bit of Spanish from my mission. There's a large Hispanic population, so I learned a little bit of Spanish, and I understand a lot of like them speaking to me, but I can't speak a lot. And then I studied Latin in high school, so like that helps with a lot of like romantic languages and Latin-based languages, but Japanese is not that. So it's like, So I don't know, but I would love to be able to like watch anime without subtitles, without the subs. So yeah, I think that'd be cool. And just to understand it better. I had an uncle that served his mission in Japan, and being able to talk to him in Japanese would be cool. But I think one of the things that's very important when learning any language is having that practical experience, and talking to people that speak that language, I think is very important. And it's very hot, so it's like, why am I wearing a flannel? But yeah, it's very important to talk to people and to speak to people. And I'm in a place where there's not a lot of people that speak Japanese, and it can be very helpful in being able to speak and learn and mess up. And I've watched some things like Xiaoma NYC, I think. He does some stuff about Japanese and stuff, and I've watched some of those. So I speak a tiny bit of Japanese and understand a tiny bit of Japanese, but definitely still working on it. Still a beginner on that. So the next question from Buster is, what new media, games, etc. are you excited about? So one of those which has already come out, but I haven't seen it yet, is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which it should be out by now. The video that I did reacting to the trailer, and if it's not, that's coming soon. I'm super excited for that. I really love how they're pushing the bounds of animation, and I love animation that connects 2D and 3D animation together. Like Treasure Planet does that really well, Tarzan. Like, it's really cool to see that connection, that melding together of things. And to really show you that the hand of an artist can make a character and stuff so different. Like looking at the storyboards that people have done. That's the cool thing about Twitter that I've seen, being on there more, taking a break from Instagram right now, is a lot of people are sharing their work more on there, and they're like behind the scenes, and that's been really cool to see that. Another movie I'm excited for is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, which I talked about. It's kind of like that same Spider-Verse. Another thing that captures that is changing the frame rate of things. Like the background in Spider-Verse is moving like on ones. So every like frame is like in that at 24 frames per second. Every like of those 24, there's like a different image. And then Miles is moving on twos, which means that his image will stay the same for like 2 frames and then change. And it creates this like different look to it, that comic look, and very taking a lot of things from 2D animation with squash and stretch and anticipation and exaggeration and follow through, and yeah, it's just been really cool to see that. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles seems to be doing that too. I think it's really weird how all the human characters, except for April, but all the other ones that I've seen look very weird. I guess that might just be a creative choice by Seth Rogen. I don't know. Another one that just came out, but I'm still excited for it because I haven't seen all of them, is Star Wars Visions Volume 2. And seeing all these anime studios and some that aren't anime studios, like the studio that worked on Wallace and Gromit and Fleshed Away did an animation for Star Wars, and seeing them tell these Star Wars stories, and especially with anime, because I talked about this before, maybe in a video or maybe just with a friend, but how it's really cool how it's come full circle with Star Wars being inspired by like the samurai and Asian culture and Jedi and stuff like that, and katanas and sword fighting and kendo, and then that going full circle to these Star Wars inspiring these anime studios to create these amazing stories. And I think it's an amazing decision. I would love to see that with like, even though like no one else may want to see that, I would love to see like animated things from different studios of like Harry Potter stories, like just in that magic world, or Lord of the Rings, like anything, you know, like Spider-Man. Just keep giving it to me. Legend of Zelda, oh, animated Legend of Zelda would be so good. I know the TV show didn't do so well, and I talked about this before. If they do an animated Legend of Zelda, which maybe this could be a new thing I'm excited about because there's been some rumors about it. If Illumination does it, I would want them to do, if they see this, I would want them to do like Young Link type story. So like Majora's Mask, or really probably more like Wind Waker, that cel-shaded style. I think Illumination could capture that same type of style. And, or Four Swords even. But I think that older, like more intense Link from Twilight Princess, even Skyward Sword or Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, I don't think it would work really well to do it in the Illumination animation style. And if they do it, if Illumination does it, I do not really want to see them do that kind of amalgamation, pushing all the Legend of Zelda stories together into one. It works with Mario because it's the same Mario, but it's different reincarnations of Link. Link to Universe does this really well, so maybe talk to them. I don't know, get some inspiration from that. Yeah, but I think there's a lot of awesome opportunities possible in that. I think that's really cool. Any other new media or games? I'm excited for I think it's Elio, I think that's what it's called, made by, yeah, Elio. It's the Pixar film for 2024. That looks kind of cool. I'm excited for the projects that I am going to be working on, new media. I want to do like some games, animations, mostly just shorts, but I would love to do some type of like serial series type thing. It's just, you really need a team. Even like the shorts, like 5-minute shorts have a huge team of people. So doing it by yourself can be very hard to do. Another new series media thing is Becky and Chris are doing, this isn't in the industry or anything, I guess, but it's their vlog they're doing. I think it's called Heading West, and they're going to be traveling in their helicopter across the United States to like from one side to the other, which is really cool. They're going to be flying, and that's gonna be cool to see. So yeah, I'm excited about that. There's probably some other media that I'm excited about that I don't know. I don't even know exists. Like I don't even know that I'm excited about it, you know? I'm like, I wonder if I would love to see, oh, there's a new Studio Ghibli film. I wonder what that, How Do You Live? Oh, it says July 14th, 2023. Oh, wow. So Hayao Miyazaki is directing this film. Looks like Toho is helping to distribute it. Music is by Joe Hisaishi, and I'm super excited for that. Producer Toshio Suzuki, he's done a lot of the other stuff, but it's an upcoming Japanese film, animated film. It's named after the 1937 novel by Genzaburo Yoshino, but has an original story that is not connected to the novel, which sounds interesting. It's been described as a big fantastical film, and yeah, it's funny because Miyazaki has retired so many times. He actually says it after The Wind Rises. He says, I said I would retire many times in the past. Many of you must think once again, but this time I am quite serious. But then he changed his mind and then decided to make this project, How Do You Live? And it's interesting because he talks about how he wants to capture this love for life and for being alive. And I think that's really cool. And it says, Suzuki said that Miyazaki is working on the film for his grandson as a way of saying grandpa is moving on to the next world soon, but he's leaving behind this film, which I think is really cool. It might be like a love letter to his family, because he hasn't always had the best relationship with his son, and I think this will be really cool to see what they make. And Studio Ghibli is just so amazing. So, and yeah, I think Dragon Prince is coming out with something new too soon, so excited for that. I would love to see some new animated shows out there. I don't know if there's there aren't any that I've seen so far that are like super grab my attention, but I don't know, keep an eye out for what's coming and stuff. I know it's probably not coming, but if it is coming, I am excited for my family and my friends have heard this so much. The Marauders, any type of Marauders story would be super cool to see, like from Harry Potter, like James Potter, Sirius Black, Lupin, and Peter Pettigrew, and Snape, and all them. It'd be so good, so good. Or like the founders of Hogwarts. I know they're working on some type of Harry Potter thing, but yeah, that's some new media that I'm excited for. So yeah, so it's been pretty good. And thank you again for coming along for this Q&A. I will see you guys next time. Peace.